you sick and tired of hearing about all this talk about the recession? Are you sick and tired of the confusion? One minute the economy is doing great, everything is fine, nothing to see here, and the next minute there's all this talk about a recession. They can show as many charts and graphs and all these paragraphs as much as they want to, but does it really even matter? Let's get to the real meat and potatoes of this recession talk and figure out what we can actually do to get our lives on track. Stay tuned, this is Crystal with the Cash Compass. Okay, so it's very easy to be confused in this climate because on one hand, we have Trump and company talking about how great the economy is and how everything is going good, unemployment's low, jobs are increasing, money's increasing, perfect, nothing to see here. Except this text message, hold on a second. But then on the other hand, we'll have all these different indicators, such as the stock market rapidly fluctuating, the inverted yield curve, housing going down, and it's a little hard to figure out what exactly is happening here. Throughout the years, recessions have been caused by multiple things between wars, federal monetary policy, putting raisins in the potato salad. I see you, stop it. The subprime housing market and a whole bunch of other things. While I do think it's important to keep up with the graphs and the charts and the curves, the truth is, nobody really knows when it's going to happen. They could have as many charts, they could have as many experts, they could have God himself come down. Well, maybe not, maybe God knows. My point is people are just taking educated guess, and what we can do is just take that information, learn, be aware of it, but don't use it as Bible. Making sure you do your own research, not just watching television, but making sure you're actually going on the computer. We have so much free information during this time. You can find out how to catch a unicorn.
I don't know if you know this, but the best time to catch a unicorn is actually right when the sun comes up or right when the sun goes down. So now is about the perfect time.
The possibilities are endless. The problem that we're facing right now is that although it may seem as if we've been out of the recession, we still kind of pretty much are in it. We just have a whole bunch of smokes and mirror. Let's talk about what we can actually do right here, right now. If you have to leave this video to go get these things done, I understand. Just come back. Let's adopt some of these practices right now so that when the recession does come, we are already prepared. So the first thing that we have to understand in a recession is that typically, generally speaking, cash is king. You want to make sure that you have enough money to survive in the event that you may lose your job or whatever other factors, prices rise. You want to make sure that you are in a position to take care of yourself. So saving, saving, saving. Be a hoarder of cash. Save as much as you can. They generally say have 6 months of your expenses. If you don't know what your expenses are every month, we got to talk about that in my next video with budgeting. But make sure you know what your expenses are, what money is coming in and what money is going out, and make sure that the money going out is way less than the money coming in. And save that. If you just put it in your savings account, that's fine for now because we don't want to take too much risky investments in this kind of climate. Pay down as much debt as you can. What's worse than not having a job? Having a car note due, okay? We don't want to be in that situation. So if you have the opportunity right now to make some extra payments after you already have your cash cushion, if you can make extra payments, especially to credit cards, because those are typically known to have the highest interest rates. So if you can pay those down, any car loans, things that you know that might put you in a bind if you were to lose your job, try to get rid of that ASAPidly. Your investments may shift. If you are in a 401k or you have money in the stock market or whatever other investment vehicle you are currently using, be very knowledgeable about what exactly you're investing in and how that specific industry or whatever it is doing. For example, if you have a 401k and you can't name not one thing you're investing in, you in trouble. You in real trouble. Take the time to learn what you have in, take the time to know where your money is at. If you're invested in Apple, go see what Apple's doing right now. Do they have a lot of cash on hand? Are they prepared for a recession? Can they cover their expenses? Think about those things. So take deeper looks into what you're investing in. Evaluate the stock market, evaluate the bond market, see if it makes sense to keep your money in there and adjust accordingly. What you don't want is to be invested in something that's already having turbulence in the market and then the whole market crashes and then that tanks even further. So please do your due diligence, be extremely educated and knowledgeable about where your money is going because that's your money. Typically what the rich do during recessions is basically a huge sale for them. I mean, they're loving it. Everything is crashing, they're able to get things at a deep discount. And if you want to live like the rich, that's what you need to do too. And again, every investment you make should be extremely educated. Don't just throw money into something because you've heard somebody else doing it. That's foolish. I'm judging you. So having that extra savings in addition to your cash cushion will put you in a great position to take advantage of the recession as opposed to being a victim of the recession. Maybe right now is not the time to jump around from job to job. When companies are thinking about budget cuts, they're more likely to cut somebody who's just started versus somebody who has seniority within the company, who's very familiar with the company and can adjust to these changes a little bit easier. So right now is not necessarily the time to just, forget it, I'm gonna just look for another job, I quit, I'm done. Try to stay as much as you can. Obviously, if you hate where you're at, don't make yourself miserable, but just be very conscious of the decisions that you're making and make sure that if you do jump to another company that, the chances of your job stability are increasing, not decreasing. So maybe a good question to ask if you are interviewing is, how do you feel about job stability in this market? They're gonna be impressed. You is smart. I want to touch on why this recession may be a little bit different than the last one we experienced. The last one we experienced was heavily concentrated in the housing market. Since then, lenders have been a little bit more strict when it comes to loaning the money out, so it's not necessarily in the housing market anymore, but it seems to be distributed pretty much across the board. So now that we're seeing bubbles kind of distributed throughout, not just within housing, that could potentially be more of an issue than it was back in 2008. We've had interest rates extremely low, which has caused people to take more loans out. I mean, why not? If it's only gonna cost me $1 a year to get a car, I'm buying 7 cars. And that's the mentality that everybody has had, from the individual to corporations. So what we're experiencing right now is a very large debt bubble. And because of that, it's a little bit tricky for the government to raise rates because not all these loans have a fixed rate. And if you were to increase the rate, it's gonna be a major show. People couldn't barely afford the loans that they have now. So imagine it at a higher interest rate. Everybody's gonna be struggling. And that's what may cause a lot of turbulence in the market because people are forced to close their doors if they have businesses. Individuals are forced to go into foreclosure or bankruptcy because they just can't afford it anymore. And people start getting afraid. They don't want to spend their money. And obviously that's a problem because we can't grow the economy under fear. I don't want to get too detailed about that. I just wanted to make sure that you do have the tools that you need to make sure that you are at least one step ahead of the game. Remember, something like 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck. So when a recession hits, 78% of people will be in a very tight position. Please do not be in that statistic. Let's be on the other side of that. I like the 22. All right, I think that wraps it up. I'm going to just do a quick overview of what you need to do. And that includes have a cash cushion. Make sure you have an emergency fund, at least up to 6 months of expenses, which means you need to calculate your expenses and make sure that you have enough savings to cover that. Do your own research. Make sure that your investments are something that you know you're fully comfortable with, you're fully educated on, and that they're not already experiencing some turbulence. If they are, you might need to reallocate your assets. Have some cash reserves so you can go buy that nice little cute house on discount. Once you have your money saved up for a rainy day, you can go ahead and take advantage of all these lucrative sale offers. And I hate to say it that way, but honestly, that is the wealthy mentality. These things will be going on sale, and if you put yourself in a position to get that, you can really reap the benefits and make yourself much wealthier over the long run. Don't hop around jobs. We already passed Easter, okay? You are not a bunny. Stay put. And finally, make sure you're paying off debt, especially that high interest rate debt, to the best of your abilities so that you have one less thing to worry about in the event something bad were to happen. All right, that's all I got for now. If you liked this video, then like this video. I heard that it may or may not make you recession proof. I don't know. We'll have to click it and find out. As always, keep your money up.